Hey there, drone fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. In today's clip, I'd like to explain why I think if you're waiting for the Mavic 3 to be released before you buy your first drone, you're making a huge mistake. And I know I'm going to get grief for saying that, but I've thought about it an awful lot, and I studied the technology behind these amazing flying machines, and as an engineer, I'm looking at what the current product offers versus what the next product might offer to understand if the difference in the technology is enough to justify that investment. And in engineering, no matter what product we're looking at, there are two concepts that happen on a regular basis. Revolutionary changes, which are big epiphanies in the technology that radically change the current version to the next version. Those are really interesting changes in technology. And the second concept is evolutionary, where a product comes out and they change it a little bit for the next generation and a little bit more for the next generation, kind of introducing cool features, making it lighter, faster, smaller maybe. And those are less interesting because you can take a product and kind of tweak it a little bit through a couple of generations and you don't really improve the value that much. So with drones, there have been a couple of revolutionary changes that have taken place that have really matured the space way faster than it should have matured. Most technology to go through this to this in a 5-year span is unheard of. It's almost like aliens landed someplace or crashed, and DJI found that wreckage and sort of reverse engineered it to build some of this technology. Same thing with the Evo and the Skydio product and the Parrot product. So from an engineering perspective, I'm blown away by the pace of change from here to here, but I want to talk about two of the revolutions or three of the revolutions that took place during this development, because that's important to understand. And I think with the Mavic 3, there has to be another revolution to make that product worth your time. And I'll talk about a little bit more about what I think is coming with that at the end. But let's start with the history of drones. Now, I have a ridiculous amount of drones here on the table in front of me, but I promise you, none of these drones are collecting dust. They're all being flown on a regular basis. I had this guy out 2 days ago. This guy was out yesterday. I was actually flying this guy this morning. I'm having a hard time finding batteries for the original Parrot Bebop. But anyway, all of them are getting use. Whether it's me or a friend or a family member flying them, I do comparisons, so I need to have them around to sort of test them against other products that are out. So all of them are getting flown. Don't think I'm just collecting them as some big drone guy, right? I like them, I fly them, they're great products. So let me start on the left. This is the Phantom 3 Professional. Now that was one of the first drones that I fell in love with. I flew a lot of them before that, but they were mostly like sort of cobbled together. If you remember the days of Heathkit, they were kind of Heath kits where you'd buy a drone, you had to kind of slap a camera on the bottom and hope for the best. You had very little control over it. The Phantom 3 Professional was the first drone that I flew that was kind of an out-of-the-box experience. You could power it up, put it up, and just have a lot of fun with it, and everything just worked. It was a major move forward for this hobby that we're in today. So the P3 was really the beginning of the P4 and all the things that came along after that. And of course, the Parrot Bebop was a fixed frame as well. They did a great job with that drone, but these are fixed frame drones. And they're wonderful, and they still make the Phantom 4 today. Pro V2 is out, and it's a great drone, but the epiphany came, or that revolutionary change came, when the Mavic Pro was announced. Now, I remember when this was announced, we kind of got hints of it before it actually hit the street. I was lucky to get one early. This is a revolutionary change. They took a fixed frame drone and made it a folding frame drone. And they didn't only make it a folding frame drone, but the geniuses at DJI kept all the features and functions of the previous generation in a smaller, foldable, portable package, which was an incredible epiphany. It was a revolution in the way we flew our quads. And that gave birth to a lot of other folding drone concepts since then. So, you know, you've got the Evo over here, you've got the Anafi over there. This was a revolution. The Mavic 2 was an evolution. It basically took the same airframe and improved it. It flew longer, had better cameras, it had better crash avoidance, it had smarts built into it. But again, revolution to here, evolution through all the rest of these. This one's a little smaller, so that's kind of cool. This one's got a lot of the big features that these guys have at a lower price. But again, these are evolutionary kind of features. The next revolution came with the Evo. And what I mean by that is the Evo 2 product was the first one that actually introduced a drone. Okay, it flew a little longer, so that's evolutionary, but the revolution in this one was the interchangeable camera packaging. These guys all had fixed cameras. When you bought them, you were stuck with whatever camera was glued to the bottom of it. In the case of the Mavic 2, it really felt like they missed a big opportunity there because they came out with the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic 2 Zoom, two different airframes, which essentially were exactly the same except for the imaging package. So if DJI at that point had said, you know what, we can put a clip up there with a little quick connector and let the customer buy one airframe and swap out the cameras, they would have owned this market. It would have completely shut this product out. But the Evo 2, people from Autel said, you know what, we've got to make a revolutionary change in the way drones are built. We're going to build one airframe and allow customers to swap in cameras. And that was really a revolutionary change from a lot of the folding drones out there. So that's its big claim to fame, and that's a wonderful thing. Now, moving on from that, the next revolutionary change was really with the Skydio R2 product. The original Skydio was, to me anyway, looking at it from an engineering perspective, before technology like this hits the market and it's commercialized, you have a lot of prototype stuff going on. So I get a chance to play with a lot of those prototypes, and they're cool. They're sort of proof of concepts to let you know we're building a product, in this case, that has autonomy built in, that's smart enough to sort of assess an area and look for objects that I'm going to run into and avoid those objects and find a clear path through them. So it was the first drone that really did autonomous flight that had artificial intelligence built into it to sort of make decisions on your behalf. Now you can argue, and I love the drone, but you can argue maybe it's a little bit too heavy-handed because it acts like a co-pilot, and when I'm flying it, often it'll say, no, Rick, you're not going that way, we're going this way. So it's sort of like having a driver in the seat next to me with another steering wheel telling me where to go. But again, revolutionary change. I believe revolutionary change here, because this is going to change the way all of the drones prior to that are built going forward. You can't really release a drone in 2021 that doesn't have some level of autonomy built into it, because it's not crash avoidance. It's artificial intelligence with neural networks and jets and chipsets, all this space age stuff that they're using in self-driving cars to control that drone's ability to listen to the pilot, sort of, but pick its own course through that woods to not crash into a tree. So revolutionary concept. So when I talk about that, going forward now, the Mavic 3, I have to look at that Mavic 3 and think to myself, all right, a couple of things have to happen. Number one, these guys beat you to the changeable payload. So I got to believe the Mavic 3's got a changeable payload built into it. These guys beat you to that sort of amazing autonomy, to do not only crash avoidance, but to do autonomous flight on a path that's going to avoid obstacles in your way. So I'm thinking with the Mavic 3, I'm sure if I was in the engineering labs at DJI, there's been a couple of like, oh my gosh moments when this one hit the street and they went, gosh, we should have thought of that swappable package. And when this one hit the street and they said, that's pretty cool. That autonomy is amazing. We got to build that in a Mavic 3. So I'm sure it was a back to the drawing boards kind of a discussion at least twice in the development cycle of the Mavic 3. On top of that, this ADS-B technology, which is built into this one, that lets you know there are other craft in the area, that's a bit of a revolutionary step as well, because it improves the safety so much with that quad, because I now know there are planes around me that'll bring the quad down and actually land it. So I got to believe ADS-B is going to be in that quad. And actually DJI, Brendan Schulman, announced that all the new DJI drones going forward beyond this one, over 250 grams, will have ADS-B. And true to form, brand new drone that came out after that announcement's got ADS-B built into it. So I think the Mavic 3 is going to have to at least have, I'm giving you a prediction here, swappable camera payload, some level of autonomous flight, and certainly ADS-B receiver in that drone. Having said all that, you can't put that kind of technology into a brand new drone without raising the price substantially. And that's where the argument comes from. If you wait for the Mavic 3 to be released, I don't have any doubt that it's going to be an amazing drone. Is it going to be that amazing though? Is it going to be invisible? Is it going to have lasers on it? Is candy going to pop out the back that you can eat when you're out flying? Can you load the batteries up and charge them with kisses? Like what could they do to make it a revolutionary drone? I think it's going to be evolutionary because it's going to have ADS-B built into it, swappable camera package probably, and probably some type of autonomy. But that's an evolutionary move for whatever the Mavic 3 looks like. And again, it's going to be cool. But if you wait for that, I can guarantee you, number one, it's going to be way more expensive than current drones that are on the market. And going back to my original premise of that delta, that change, what's different between this one and that one? All those things are incredibly important, but they're going to be expensive. And are they worth that uplift in cost? More importantly, if I wait for it, and it's going to take a while. You're not going to see this thing be released in the fall. Nobody's going to fly a drone in the winter. So DJI smart. It's probably going to hit over the winter, maybe in time for Christmas or early spring. So everybody gets excited for the spring. If in fact the Mavic 3 is even coming, I have no inside information on this. I'm promising you, this is all speculation on my part. But if they release the Mavic 3, probably springtime or right after Christmas or right before Christmas if they're trying to catch that rush. But if they do release it, it's going to be more expensive. And you've waited all that time. If you were waiting all summer, if you've waited since the fall saying, I'm going to get that Mavic 3, there's rumors flying all over, they're going to release it any day. I'm waiting. I have that same affliction. I'm a nerd. And we always want what's next. We're chasing what's next. And I want to know what the next thing is, because if I buy this today and they release the new one, I'm going to be missing all the cool stuff the new one's got. What I'm here to tell you is that the change between what you can buy today and what's coming is not worth the wait. And that's my point in this. The whole point in this clip is that you could have been flying for the last 7, 8, 12 months by buying any of these drones and probably gotten 80, maybe even 90% of the experience of flying that brand new Mavic 3 if it ever comes out. So again, unless it's invisible, revolutionary. If it's got lasers on it, I don't know what you'd use those for, but that'd be kind of cool. But the changes are not going to justify the wait. And I've talked about it on the channel ad nauseum. I love flying, and any day I can get outside early in the morning and the sun's shining and I can put a drone, any drone, up in the air, it's a great day. It just relieves my stress. And in these stressful times, man, you need a way to relieve that stress. So buy the drone you can afford today. You can buy some amazing drones. This Mavic Air 2, $800 drone, that's a lot of money, I get it, but you're gonna get 80% of the experience of the more expensive drones. Okay, it doesn't have the autonomy of the Skydio 2. It's got a smaller sensor than these guys. This has got an 8K sensor. This has got a 1-inch sensor on it. But it shoots really good video. It's fun to fly. You can get a lot of flight time out of it. If you can't afford that, this one's under 400 bucks. That's the Mavic Mini. You can buy that drone and fly it. This guy's come down in price. And there are drones under $100 that'll let you fly in the backyard and get up in the trees and just have a lot of fun with your kids outside and your wife in the backyard flying a drone. And who knows, you might get bit and want to upgrade to something else. So my point is, again, I'm sure the Mavic 3 is going to be amazing. They're going to crush it, just like DJI's done with every drone they've ever released. I have no doubt that it's going to be a unicorn when it hits the street. But it may not come for quite some time. And if you wait, all that time, you could have been out in the backyard like me, like a 9-year-old, looking up in the sky with the drone up there in the blue sky, looking down in the cornfields, smiling and dreaming of flight, being up in the sky and just feeling free as a bird up there. So my recommendation is, if you're on the fence, get off the fence. Buy a drone, get out there and fly. There's plenty of summer left. You can fly right up into the winter, and I even fly all winter if you're careful with the drone battery. So get out there today, find a drone you can afford. If it's not new, find one used and fly that for a while. You can always upgrade later, but don't wait. I'm sure the Mavic 3 is going to be an awesome drone, but it may not come for a long time. Don't wait. Get out there and start flying today. And that's pretty much all I had for today. So if you have any questions about anything I've covered, drop those in the comments below and I'll get back to you. I'm really curious about your opinions on this as well, because I know as a nerd, I'm always chasing new technology, and I do it because it's my business and I like looking at new technology, but we're always coveting what's on the horizon. We're always looking forward to what's on the horizon, and that's a good thing to do. I guess we, as a culture, are that way. I mean, that's how we started moving west, right? We're wondering, what's over that mountain? Well, it could be beautiful, could be bears over there, but we're going anyway. So I get that you want the next thing, but I don't think it's worth the wait. I think enjoy what you can today. And if it really is that seductive, you can always upgrade later on. But get out there and start flying. And that's my message for today. So thanks an awful lot for watching. I'd love to hear your opinions. Drop them below. Don't flame me because I love all these drones. I'm not picking on any of them. And I'm probably going to love the Mavic 3 as well. But I just had to get that out there because I've gotten so many questions from you guys about when do you think the Mavic 3 is coming? What do you think it's going to do? Oh, I can't wait. I got to wait for it. Don't wait for the drone. Get out there and buy a drone and start flying. Anyway, thanks for watching. And until next time, happy flying.